partner for the week this week is puzzles. You might think just something simple like putting a puzzle out, which you definitely can do one day. But I also wanted to just show you some different activities that you can do with puzzles to keep kids engaged and interacting. And then also is really good for their finger development and their fine motor development. Puzzles in general are really good for kids for problem solving, for their eye-hand coordination, using their hands to turn pieces, really works on building up the strength and the manipulation of the fingers and fingertips. So puzzles are a great experience, and kids usually are engaged. Just to make some things a little bit more interesting, some activities you could try and do. I have this neat wooden box, which is cool, and it has like a little hole. You could use a tissue box. You can use any kind of box and just cut the circle out of it. You could use a sock. If you had like a long sock, you could put some different pieces in. But what I wanted to show you is that you could actually put puzzle pieces in the box, and then you can have students reach in and grab the pieces out and then put them in the puzzle. Really good for using their fingertips, and then also just a sensory motor activity, so they have to feel the edges. They have to kind of use their strength. Sometimes it's a little harder to get out, so they have to manipulate the object a little bit. So not only are we doing puzzles, we're keeping them engaged with wondering what piece they're going to get. For those kids that are old enough, you can ask different questions, language questions. What do you think you're going to get? Do you think you're going to get the dog, or do you think you're going to get the cat? And then they can reach in. Or maybe if it's something with like a shape puzzle, you can have them reach in and pick up a thing and have them guess what it is before they pull it out. So kids really like anything that you put inside. We call it a surprise box or a mystery box, but just a nice fun activity. You could put the pieces in a sensory bin. That's another fun activity. So you could have rice, or you could have like if it was an Easter theme recently, it was Easter, and we had like little basket filler stuff, and then the puzzle pieces were in there. It was a matching activity, but another just neat way to keep kids engaged. Another neat thing is you can just use a cookie sheet, and this is just like the fridge phonics, which is again in itself a puzzle because you're trying to fit the pieces in, but it's engaging for kids. And this, what I did was I put some of the letters on the back. So for some of the kids, maybe if you're working on a color, you might say find a red letter. And if kids are not quite there, maybe they don't know their colors, but you just want them to learn to associate with the color red. For beginners, you could say pick a red color, and you could actually kind of like cover these up a little bit just so they can see, but then they're free to take the red color, and it'll just help them make that association. Or if you were working on maybe letter recognition, then you could say, find the D, and then have them put the D in. But I like this activity with the cookie sheet. Again, keeps kids real engaged. Another thing, just not your typical puzzle, are like a shape sorter. This is a really simple one. Again, if you're working with students that are learning but maybe don't quite have those visual motor skills where they know which shape, you can actually kind of cover up a hole to make them successful. So you can, kind of guide them with your hands and then point and have them put it in there. So they're manipulating, they're working on those skills, but then they're also learning some of those cognitive skills as well. So that's a few ideas. Another activity that's fun, especially if you have a bunch of kids that need movement, or if you're at home, is you can make an obstacle course, and you can use chairs. Kids maybe have to crawl over a pillow, and they have to crawl under a chair, and you could have the form board at one end of your obstacle course, and then you could have your puzzle pieces at another, so that they have to go through the obstacle course, get the puzzle piece, carry it through as they're going through the obstacle course, and then put it back in the puzzle. And that's actually neat too, especially if they're crawling. It puts them on their forearms, and they're holding their wrists tight, so it just really builds some core strength. If we think about adults, we might like to do a plank, or we might like to do a forearm plank. So if they're kind of crawling in there, it just really helps build that core, which is great for overall sensory input, which helps our kids focus, but then it also just helps them build strength so that academically they'll make some nice gains. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, either call or email. Thanks.